Okay. Thank you for joining me live from the grooming table. I am Amy Lee, certified professional groomer since 2003, and you are awesome. Look at you, coming from all over the world. I see you, UK. I see you in the chat. Welcome, guys. All of my favorite people are right here, and I love you dearly. But what we've created on this community is awesome. We've created a place where people can come to learn proper dog grooming methods, to get adequate advice on tools, products, how to use them, where to get them, all the information that is valuable and from a professional like me. I do have decades of experience in the grooming world, grooming dogs professionally, as you all know. And it is an amazing adventure that grooming has taken me on, and where it's led me is to you. And isn't that just the cherry on top of everything I could have ever asked for in working with dogs as a professional groomer? So cheers to the dogs, cheers to you, and cheers to us. I have something really cool for you guys tonight. Now, I really don't like eating dry pasta, to be honest. So I found another use for it. You guys are going to absolutely love this lesson today. This is going to prove to be so valuable for you, and I've put some really good stuff together for you tonight, and I can't wait to give it to you. So, first of all, I want to say welcome to Go Groomer on YouTube. All of you, look at where you're all from. Oh my gosh, I love having you here. Thank you so much. Some of you I always see, and I appreciate you coming and hanging with us and bringing your value to the grooming table. And some of you are faces I haven't seen, which makes me so happy to welcome new people into our awesome community, because it all surrounds dog care, grooming them especially. So that's where I come in. That's what I do. But I'm happy to have you. Tonight's topic is trim dog nails, practice method for beginners, and more. It's not just that. I have a lot for you guys. But like anything that we learn to do, practice makes perfect, and you should expect trimming a dog's nails is no exception to that rule. Practice makes perfect. So before you get all upset, whatever, anytime I mention trimming dog nails, people go, I see it. I see it. Why is it that everybody's like, huh? Well, yeah, because it can go horribly wrong. That's probably one of the biggest reasons people cringe. But I mean, everybody just, I'm going to trim Gus's nails and people leave the room, you know, if my family's around, or, you know, at work, the clients are like, please don't forget to trim his nails, because they're like, I don't want to touch him. I'm like, hey, look, that's part of the package. I always trim the nails. So yes, if you're just learning to groom, or you're a beginner groomer, you need to become very good at trimming dog nails. You're going to be trimming a lot of dog nails. So in this video, I put together a couple of demos. Let's hope they go well in the live stream. Sometimes my demos freeze up. I changed some settings to try to help with that. I even took Photoshop off this computer so that I have free space and more CPU computing power, or whatever this Mac needs to run this show tonight. So I hope I can deliver those videos to you without a hitch and a get along, because they're really good. So I have a couple of demos to teach you a practice method that really works to help you trim dog nails with accuracy and confidence. That's important. And I have a second demo video showing you my techniques that I use to successfully and precisely trim dog nails. I will be honest with you guys, I absolutely love trimming dog nails. And I'm sure many of my groomer friends in the audience here can agree to that. I don't know what it is. I think one of the things is because, like anybody who's learning all of the aspects of grooming dogs, trimming nails is one of those aspects of grooming a dog. And I think it's the one that we as beginners, when we're beginners, fear the most. is trimming those dog nails. We realize we're working with a moving target. So you already know that. Now, some dogs are just absolutely wonderful, but they're not all like that. Some of them are sensitive with having their feetsies touched, and that's to be expected, and it's to be forgiven of them. You shouldn't hold it against them. But I think the reason why I actually really love trimming dog nails is because it was something that I feared. I am pointing at you with a dry spaghetti noodle. You can pick your nose with these. Okay, let's not go there. But overcoming that, I think, was a huge hurdle. You know, when I say overcoming it, I just mean being confident about it and knowing that I got this, and then I can project that energy to the dog too. That was very rewarding once I felt that way. But it doesn't happen overnight. You have to work yourself through it. That's why I've put together so much for you tonight to help you get to where I am, and absolutely love trimming dog nails and can't wait till I get to that step of the groom and say, wow, you just trimmed all 4 of these paws in 30 seconds. And you just become that good at it. So it was a hurdle. It was a hurdle for me, and it makes me feel amazingly good to know that I have the utmost confidence in myself to trim dog nails. So I hope that that's where you're going to get with it too, if you're not already. But so listen, let's get going. What else are we doing here tonight? Well, I'm also including a detailed explanation on the anatomy of a dog's nail to show you where that vein is. It's also known as the quick. You hear me say the quick. You don't want to hit the quick. That's the vein that's inside of the dog's nails. So it's located in there. You cannot see it, but it's there. So I have an illustration. I'm going to share that with you tonight. It's the first thing you should always know when you're trimming a dog's nail. In fact, guys, when I have some of these things up on the screen today, have your cameras ready, your phone. Take a screenshot of some of this stuff, or just simply take a screenshot while you're watching it live on your phone so that you have that image and you can refer to it. That's a good idea. So also, speaking about the quick, when people say, oh my gosh, I cut my dog's nails and it bled, that's the vein. That's the quick. You hit the quick. Sometimes you only nick it a little. It doesn't bleed much. And to be honest, you know, if you get close to it, it can be uncomfortable for the dog, but not as bad as you think it is. But if you clip it pretty short, it hurts. It does hurt the dog. I will not tell you any false information here. So we're going to avoid that. We're not going to let that happen to you. And I see some lines in the chat, guys. Do you see what Tammy's doing? Hi, Tammy. Tammy has a question. And Tammy, I will get to questions. I'm going to go through the lesson, and then I'm going to answer all your questions. So don't worry, I will be scrolling back and hitting them from the first one all the way down the line. So do what Tammy's doing, guys. If you have a question, hold the dash bar and create a line and then type your question, because I will be going back and looking for your questions when we get to the Q&A section of this live stream. But first, I want to give you a lesson. I want to feed your brain. I want to give you the goods right now. Also in this video, I will share my favorite dog nail trimmer that I like to use. Why it's my go-to nail trimmer. Why is that? I'll give you a peek. You know what it is, because you guys, you know me. It's the Miller's Forge nail clipper plier style. They have a couple different styles. This is the plier style. It has the red handles, always has the red handles. That's the one. So I will share it with you. Don't worry. Styptic powder. This is a must. Gotta have it. Okay? If you're gonna trim dog nails, I'm still holding this piece of pasta like it's, I'll put it down. It's probably freaking you guys out. You're afraid of what I'm gonna do with it next. Okay, so always have your styptic powder if you're going to trim dog nails. Always. I don't care if you're a professional. I don't care if you're like me and you've been doing this for, you're in your 3rd decade of grooming. I don't care. Always have it. Styptic powder is a must to have on hand when trimming dog nails. Not flour, not cornstarch, or any other baking ingredients in your pantry. I know we've all heard these things can work. They don't work well, and I will tell you that. They don't work well, and it takes a long time to stop a dog's nail bleeding with cornstarch or flour. You can do it. The most important thing to stop the bleeding is the pressure that you're putting on the nail and holding it there and holding it there to let the blood, to let it stop, let it clot. But you really need styptic powder, and I'll show you how to use it in a little bit with some pasta. Maybe, if you're good. You're always good. I linked all of the items that I'm going to be talking about today in the description of this video for you to purchase if you're looking for the right tools to use when trimming a dog's nails. And I also linked 3 awesome videos below in the description that go into great detail instructing you how to safely and accurately trim dog nails. I actually have more than 3 great videos on nails on my channel, guys. I have a lot. I have a couple that are in the shorts format, and I have many of full videos that bring you in close and instruct you. They're very well done and easy to understand. So I've linked, I pulled a couple of them, linked them in there for you, but you will find other videos on my channel of me going into detail on trimming nails. And quite frankly, pretty much any video that I'm grooming a dog start to finish, you're gonna see me trimming their nails. And I usually take a few minutes to explain a few golden nuggets of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it to help you out. So, in other words, this video right here that you guys are joining me live from the grooming table or watching it on the replay, this video here is going to cover everything that you need to know and things you didn't know, possibly, including a practice method that will really help you master the nail trimmer itself. That's important. It's awkward at first. You're like, okay, on it go. I'm just feeling this thing. It feels really weird. My hand, now I got to trim a dog nail. You have to practice. You have to really build your dexterity. You have to master this tool before attempting to trim a live dog's nail. I really suggest that. So I've got you covered. So let's begin with understanding the anatomy of a dog's nail. Okay, get your screenshot ready. I'm gonna throw an image up here for you. Here's the first image. So this is how we're gonna begin our lesson tonight. Well, we're looking at an illustration of a dog's nail from the side. Inside every dog nail is a vein called the quick, and you can see it, it's there, it's in red. Anytime a dog's nail is cut too short, it bleeds. That means the vein has been hit. Okay, that we don't want that. Avoiding this is absolutely crucial for the dog because it can be painful. If it's cut too far back into the vein, it absolutely can be pretty painful. But it can also cause a dog to fear having their nails trimmed moving forward. And we don't want that either. We don't want to ruin this for the dog. They're already, it's not typically their favorite part of the groom. Let's just say it that way. So how do we know what to trim and when to stop? Well, I have another image for you. First, I'm going to take a peek at you, make sure you're watching. Are you paying attention? Is everybody sitting up straight? This is a great lesson. You're going to love it. So here in this picture, this little girl, she's a sweetheart. She is a Pomeranian, but her foot's kind of small, so I had to zoom up. I had to zoom in on this, okay, so you can see. But it's simple to understand how far we trim, how to avoid hitting that vein. It's simple. I need you to understand that. You can't complicate. I know you're thinking, I know that vein's in there somewhere. Every time I make a clip, I'm going to hope I don't hit it. You never approach trimming nails with that mindset. You got to know you're not going to hit it. You need to understand where it is and what you should look for to know you don't go any further. So you trim small amounts until you see either a pink or a black dot in the middle of the nail. It doesn't matter if the nails are clear or black, guys. Everybody says, how do you trim black nails? Well, I trim black nails the same way I trim clear nails. I take small amounts at a time until I see a little pink or black dot in the middle, showing right there in the middle. You guys can see it right there on her little nail. Right in the middle, it's a dot. And it doesn't matter if the nails are clear or black. This is how you avoid cutting the vein. You look for that black dot. You can clearly see it, right, guys? I see it. I see it on 3 of her nails right now. One of the nails is kind of hidden by some hair, but you can see it. You notice it's not super, super black. It's just a little dot that says, hey, if you go any further, you're too close. You're too close, and you possibly are going to cause this nail to bleed. So this is what, take a screenshot. I'll wait. Go ahead. Take a screenshot. That's what you want to see when you're trimming dog nails. You take small amounts until you see this. This black dot tells you your job is done here. Move on to the next nail. It's that simple. So I have much more for you here, guys. I have to front load this. Now we know where the vein is inside. We saw that picture. Let me give it to you again. We know approximately where that vein is, right? Now it doesn't extend all the way to the end of the nail unless the dog has their nails very, very wore down because they're extremely active. So what I mean by that is sometimes, guys, as a professional, when I get a dog in, haven't seen the dog in 6 weeks, I look at the nail. I cannot always trim the nail. Meaning, if they have their nails wore down to the quick, I can see that when I'm looking at it from underneath. I can see that. Then I don't even have to trim this dog's nails. Just because it's part of the groom doesn't mean you have to do it. If they don't need it done, you don't do it. Because if you did trim that nail and they have it wore down from, a lot of bigger dogs will. They'll have their nails wore down close to the quick. That means all the extra dead, I guess it's skin that makes up nails, has worn away from their activity and it cannot be trimmed. And I mean, that's great for the dog. It's not a bad thing. It's just a fact. Some very active dogs will not need their nails trimmed, but you need to check. So don't think that you have to trim every nail. And sometimes they'll walk, depending on what they do, if they like to spin circles outside, they'll wear down just a couple of their nails in a different way, and the other ones are longer. That means you can't cut the same amount off of these nails if they're wore down as you would off of these. So you just have to understand how the nail works. It works like ours. The nail grows. If I broke my nail, right there to where it, all the way back in here, that would be like breaking my nail to the quick, okay? So all this out here, I can file, I can Dremel, I can paint, I can do whatever I want. It's dead, I'm not feeling it, but there's live tissue when it gets to be about down to here. So you can kind of think about the dog's nails like that with the vein, that it's protected in there, but all this dead overgrowth is not painful to the dog when you trim it. It's dead, it has no feeling. The only thing that has feeling is that vein that's up in there. So think of it that way. Another thing to do that's very important when you're trimming dog nails, and I have a little video to show you, is where you position yourself that's relative to the dog. So where you are positioned to the dog to trim nails successfully, the position of you and the dog is very important. Where you stand, how you tip the dog's foot back towards you, that's important. So I am going to show you some things. There's a couple videos I'll be showing you, but these things make a big difference in your ability to see what you are doing while handling the dog in a way that's comfortable to the dog. So positioning is important. Your position and the dog's position. Where are you in relevance to the dog that puts you in the optimal spot to easily work with the nail while being able to gently tip that paw back and see those nails from the underside, which is like I showed you in this picture. You want to tip the nail back. I like to look at the nails from underneath. It makes it easy for me to see what I need to do. It's comfortable for the dog. I'm just tipping the paw back. So it really is, to me, has proven to be the best position that I can put myself and the dog in order to easily work with the nail, to easily handle the paw, and to keep the dog comfortable at the same time. So positioning is very important. So I have a little video I want to show you here of me trimming a little dog's nail. He's a sweetheart. His name is Sparky. So let's watch this video. I always have him stand. It's very important. But look at where I am positioned in relevance to Sparky as I trim his nails. Also notice how I tip his foot back and look at it from that angle. That's important. These things make all the difference for both you and the pet. Positioning really matters. Where you're positioned, where they're positioned, and how you handle that paw. Now let's watch. I think you're ready now to watch a fun practice method. Let's watch a short demo of how you can practice using your nail trimmer on dry pasta to gain control and dexterity using this tool, your nail trimmer. All right, let's play it. Before you trim your dog's nails, I want you to do this. Practice! Before you go for those paws, get yourself some fettuccine, some large spaghetti, some regular spaghetti, angel hair pasta, I don't care, because all those pastas represent the different size of dog nails. And I want you to start practicing, and I want you to do it with your dog right beside you. Why? So they can hear the sound that a nail trimmer makes when you're trimming nails. Do this. You're building dexterity, control. You're getting used to using these clippers. You're getting used to seeing what they're capable of. And you do this a lot, and you will become better at trimming dog nails before it's time to trim your dog's nails. If you do this, leave me a comment. Let's talk about it. Let's get chatty. Look at my dog. He don't care. He's used to it. Practice on dry spaghetti noodles. This is my favorite nail trimmer. This is the Miller's Forge nail trimmer. It's quiet. It's easy to control. It's kind of spring-loaded. It fits great in my hand. The next video I'm going to show you is how I actually trim a dog's nails. Yeah. I bet you can't wait to try that one, right? It's a good practice method, and I hope you do try it because it's very helpful. Before we watch the next demo, I want to remind you that using your other hand to isolate each digit with your finger and thumb is key to successful trimming when you're trimming dog nails. So I want you to just real quick, I am going to show you in that other video those things, but the positioning, what my other hand is doing while I'm trimming nails is very important. So let's go back and watch that little video of Sparky real quick. I want you to look at my hands. My fingers, as I'm holding his paw, I'm using the hand that I'm holding his paw to push the fingers and isolate and hold each digit. And then I'm going to show you another video too. So let's watch this with Sparky. So I get him standing. It's so important that they stand. That helps them be confident. But look at how I just moved his digit with my pinky. It's hard to catch, but if you watch closely, you can see that this is what I'm doing. I'm using my finger that I'm holding his paw to push the digits up so I can clearly see them. And so that I also know that I am working with one digit. And I isolate the digit when I'm working with it. I won't let it move. I'm isolating it. That's important. Another important thing, we're going to talk about this in a minute, is get out your pasta. When you go to trim a nail and you say, you're like, okay, that's right there, that's where I'm going to trim. When you start to trim, you'll feel the tension of your nail trimmer getting a hold of it. Like it's wrapped, there's no dead space around it like there is right now. You want to just not squeeze it, take the tension away. And when you like the positioning and you have a nice grip on your dog, then you commit to the cut. And don't back out of it. I mean, unless you would go way down, then you back out of it. But once you know you're where you want to be, I take the tension out of my trimmer. See that? I'm not coming at it with dead air. I got it. Oh, this is hard to do on camera. I got it. I take the tension out of my trimmer. I mean, you can see I have the tension out of my trimmer. I'm holding this with that. I'm not squeezing it tight. I'm holding it. And then I commit. Okay, does that make sense? All right, now let's watch the other video where you're going to get instruction on how I trim nails, how I use these other hands. This other video is really good too, so I'm excited for you to watch it. Let's put that one on. I already told you need a nice, comfortable nail trimmer. This is the Miller's Forge nail trimmer. It's been my favorite for more than 20 years of my grooming experience. This is the one. Your dog needs to be comfortable when you're trimming nails. As you can see, he is. If he wasn't, I would kind of reposition him, make him feel confident on the table, because he's going to need some confidence to do something he's not favorable about, right? You always want to pick up the foot in a comfortable way to the dog. So notice I have this hand over here. I'm supporting his knee a little, encouraging him to stand with his leg out. If I'm hiking up too far, I can tell it's making him uncomfortable. And now that he's comfortably standing, I like to do this when they come out of the tub. The nails are less brittle. I can easily move the hair out of the way when I'm working with each digit. And I'm going to isolate each digit with my finger and my thumb. Get a good hold on it. I'm positioning my nail trimmer in a way that I have leverage. I'm not just coming at it and holding it in midair. That's going to make you move. I'm going to use my finger, my pinky, to rest my nail trimmer on. You see how all this works together? So that I'm accurate. That's what you need to practice. So get you some pasta, get to clipping, make sure you're comfortable and controlled with your clipper. Practice putting the clipper against your fingers to give yourself leverage so that you're accurately going to trim that nail. See, I'm using my finger that's holding this in my hand so that I can be accurate. Don't just come in midair and try to, you're going to cut too much. You need to use your other hands to help control where you're at with this clipper. See, I just put my finger out there to give this hand stability. Try that before you start trimming dog nails. You always use your other hand to stabilize the hand that has the clipper. So this is the hand that's holding the paw, separating the digits. And I'm using this hand also to hold this hand still before I commit. See that? Instead of coming at it in midair, I'm stabilizing both these hands, including the hand holding the clipper, so that I'm not going to move. Take the tension, put the tension on the nail, so like, you know, it's kind of got a hold of it. You're not clamping it yet. You took the tension out of the nail. See that? Hold yourself steady and commit to the cut. My poor computer. That's important. Stabilizing both hands, including the hand that's holding the tool, because with a little nail, and you saw the little Pomeranian that I was working with, her nails are small. There's not a lot of room for error. So you have to be so precise and so accurate, and use your other hand to stabilize. See that? Or I'll push back on it depends on the size of the dog. But you want to add that stability with your other hand. And the angle that I cut the nails, a lot of people like to get, you know, like they go at a 45-degree angle. I like to cut it pretty much flush. I will come on a little bit of an angle. Just want that when the dog puts their paw down, that nail is just flush. There's pasta all over my computer. All right, so that's the idea of that. But that other hand is so important, guys. I'm sure that these videos are proven to show you some things that maybe you had questions about. And don't forget, we're getting to the Q&A part, so no worries. But I can't stress enough that resting the back of the nail trimmer against your fingers that are holding the nail in place helps to keep you steady and sure of what you're trimming. It's so important. It's going to stabilize the nail trimmer before you make the cut. Before committing to the cut, tighten the tension of the nail trimmer to ensure proper placement. Then commit to the cut. Complete it. So, like I just showed you, and I go over that one more time. As I'm sure I'm in the right spot, this is what I want to trim. I'm stabilizing myself with both hands, and I have the dog's paw in this hand. I'm going to take the tension off my clipper. I have it. I'm ready. Yeah, that's what I'm going to quit. And I do it. Now, does this take a long time? Typically, no. Oh my God. It does not take a long time. So what I do when I trim nails, and you saw how fast I can trim nails. I say, yeah, that's where you want it. Take the tension out. Boom. All that happens in a millisecond. So you will get there. You absolutely will. But practicing on your pasta is, that sounds so dumb. It's so helpful because it's allowing you to learn to control this tool. This is like a spring-loaded tool. And, you know, it's different than most things we work with. You know, tools we usually work with in our hands are pens and pencils, knives and forks. This thing requires us to operate it. It's not your typical everyday. It takes some getting used to, is what I'm trying to say. And that's the whole idea of using pasta, to get used to controlling this tool. Get used to using it, building strength in your hands, mind and muscle memory. Honestly, it's a real thing. And if you don't trim dogs' nails a lot, like in the beginning when we're just starting out grooming, we may be only grooming 2 dogs a day. So obviously the more you do it, the more you learn, the more dexterity you're going to build. But in the meantime, that's a nice day and you're done working, you grab a box of pasta. Look at all the pasta in here. Look at all the nails you could be working on. Get you a box of pasta, go sit outside and practice controlling your nail trimmer on pasta. Just practice. I'm so sorry. What a mess. Oh, this is fun though. I love this exercise. I hope you guys do it. Even if you're pretty confident with nail trims, it certainly never hurts. Or say you want to get a different nail trimmer and you want to try a different nail trimmer, try it out with some pasta first. Get used to, you know, taking the tension off of that, you know, before you make the cut. Get used to how it feels in your hand, because they all do kind of feel different. That's one of the reasons I love this one. It feels good in my hand. It really does. It doesn't make a loud popping sound when I trim the nails. It's not obnoxious to the dogs by the sound that it makes. That's important too. But I just feel like with this Miller's Forge trimmer, and I've been using it for a long time, well, most of my entire grooming career, this is the one. I get other nail trimmers and I always go back to this and say, no way. I had much more control with that nail trimmer. The dogs didn't mind the sound that it makes. This was always the one. And it's linked below for you guys. It's not expensive at all. Trust me, it's not. But it's a good one. And these cutting edges will become dull over time. No, you don't send them to get sharpened. You throw it in the trash. It's gone. You buy a new one, or you always have a spare. I have a couple spares still in the box in my cabinet. Always have a spare. When you're a professional groomer, especially you want to have spares of everything, because you can't not have it. You can't be without it. I mean, even if you groom your own dog at home, you know, spare blades is a necessity. A blade can dull in no time on you. You want to have that extra blade to continue on with the trim that you committed to for the day, right? Instead of, oh, my dog's half done and my blade is dull and I can't finish the haircut because I don't have a blade and I've got to wait 5 days to get one. So that's not fun. But definitely this is my favorite. Now let's talk styptic powder. Let me see where I'm at here with what I wanted to show you. Yeah, let's talk about styptic powder. So I said to you guys earlier, and there's so many different types of styptic powder for dogs, cats. I've used several of them. They all work the same. They're all good. Peekaboo. They're all good. If it's styptic powder for dogs, it's fine. Is this something that burns the dog? No, but does it hurt the dog if the nail was trimmed real short? And that alone hurts the dog. So the styptic powder itself doesn't really burn. It may a little bit because the nail was trimmed too short, but you must have it. So what it is it's a powder. So let me show you, if I can show without dumping that on my computer. It's just a powder. And what I do, sometimes when I'm trimming nails, I'll get really close to the quick and I'll be like, boy, that's too close for comfort. And about, maybe even 30 seconds later, I'll see it just starting to bring blood to the surface. So I know when the dog goes running out of here and he's all excited, it could start bleeding. So I look for that too. If it's really close but not really a cut, I'll still put styptic powder on it and pressure to make sure that the nail's not going to bleed when it leaves, and the client's going to get in the car with their happy dog and everybody excited to go home, and the dog's nail's going to be bleeding. It's going to upset the client. They're going to say, oh, there's blood on my seat. Oh my God, his nail's bleeding. You don't want that to happen. So what you do if you cut too close, or obviously if you cut it too short, is I just lick my finger. I just dab it in here. As you can see, I get a little bit, just a little bit. Get some powder on there. And if this was the nail that was trimmed too short, I'm going to press and hold pressure for 10, 15, maybe longer seconds. Pressure. You have to hold pressure. See, I'm holding pressure with the styptic powder that was on my finger, like this. I'm going to hold it there. You want to make sure the dog is standing comfortably, that you're not fighting and pulling, just have them stand comfortably, tip that digit back and press and hold the styptic powder. Pull it away and keep an eye on it. Take a look at it for, 10, 15 seconds and say, yeah, it's not going to bleed. It's good. If it still looks like it might want to bleed, then do it again. Lick your finger, a different finger, or else you're going to eat the powder. It doesn't taste good. I've eaten this powder so many times, not even thinking about it. So lick your finger, dip it in the powder. You got some powder on your finger, press and hold against the nail. I'm certainly going to need a bath after this live stream, and so is my computer. You should see it. For about 15 seconds, and then take a look and see if it's good. Poor computer, it's been through so much today. So that's how you would stop a nail from bleeding. And you may have to do that a couple times. You may have to say, oh no, it still looks like it wants to bleed, so I'm going to do it again. And you get more powder, you press and hold, put the pressure on the nail for 10, 15 seconds at least, and then check it. So hopefully you don't have to use it, but we all have had to use it. It happens. And like I said, sometimes if I feel the nail is just trimmed just so close that it may not be bleeding right now, but I'm afraid when he runs out the door because he's so excited, it could bleed then because it was just right there to the quick. Then I will go ahead and apply the styptic powder, put some pressure on him, try to just prevent that from happening for the pet and for the owner. So, and if you trim a dog's nails, a client dog, and you do have to use styptic powder, it's okay to let the client know, and it's normal to trim a dog's nail a little short. Now, I'm not talking about really short is a problem. Really short, you know, way up into the quick, it is a problem. And you can't just dump a bunch of styptic powder on that. It's going to be painful. So you got to practice. You got to be accurate. And I do have a couple of other little key highlight things I want to leave in your mind before we get to the Q&A. A couple things I want to remind you of. One thing is choose a comfortable nail trimmer. You know my choice is the Miller's Forge pliers style nail trimmer, but a comfortable nail trimmer to you is important because you really do have to control that tool, and you have to feel like you have control of it, you know, when you're trimming a dog's nails, because you know, you could cause a bad cut, and it could get cut too short. It's going to hurt. It's going to make the dog fear having their nails trimmed possibly, you know, in the future. So you just want to avoid that. Another thing is to practice handling and positioning a live dog without trimming the nails. So, you know, if you're learning to groom, practice with your own dog. When I say handling and positioning, remember when I told you where I'm positioned in relevance to the dog when I'm trimming nails, it's important, and that's what's setting the whole session up for success, that I can clearly see the dog's comfortable, I'm comfortable, and I'm positioning myself that I can easily work with my tool and see what I'm doing. So practice with your own dog. Or if you don't have a dog and you are a groomer, how about this? After, you know, a grooming session, I know we've always got 1 to 2 extra minutes after we finish a groom, right? Well, just continue to work a little bit with the dog that's on your table. I'm sure they're willing to help you learn to trim nails better. You know, not trimming the nails. Practice keeping them standing. Practice tipping that foot back. Practice where you are in relation to them. Just get comfortable with that stance, because when I trim nails, I don't even think about it. I always go right to my position. You know, I always go right to my position. I always put the dog in position. It becomes mindless because you just know what works, and it becomes something that feels natural to you, and that's just what you're going to do. So you'll get there, but all this practicing and stuff is only going to get you there faster and with confidence. So I suggest it. So practice handling dogs when you're not trimming their nails, so that you're practicing how you're going to tip that paw back, where you're going to stand, all these things, how you're holding the paw. Is it comfortable to the dog, that they're still able to comfortably stand on their 3 legs? This can be difficult with puppies and older dogs. Older dogs have trouble standing sometimes. So I will often use my hands to hold them up underneath them and just help guide them. Sometimes you have to do that. Learn to handle the dog's legs, the feet, in a way that is comfortable to the dog, to help him feel confident and at ease when you trim the nails. So go ahead and practice that on dogs without actually trimming the nails. The handling techniques. It's important. Another thing is trim nails after the bathing process. That's always in my steps of grooming. If you have my steps of grooming, that's in there. After the dog is toweled off and exits the bath and back up on the grooming table, that's when I trim the nails. The nails are less brittle because of the conditioning process and being in water. They're less brittle, and the hair is wet, and it's easy to move the hair out of the way, giving you better visibility to the nail itself. So that's just always been the reason why I trim the nails after they get out of the bath, is because it's less brittle and the hair's wet. I can easily move it out of the way, versus if he's all fluffed out and he's got this fluffy paw, I gotta separate all that hair to find the nail. So I like to do it when the dog's nails are wet. How about if you trim your own dog's nails and have great success with that at home, and you said, well, I don't do it every time I bathe them because I don't, need to bathe my dog that often, but what would I do? Well, just dip the little paw in water, in a little cup of water to wet it and dry it off, and now you've wet the paw so you can move the hair out of the way. It's just easier to see it to work with. I just think it's important. Another thing I want to remind you with before we get to Q&A here is each nail on the same dog Okay, each nail on the same dog may be different in length. I want you to remember that. You can't assume that the vein inside the nail on one nail is always going to be the same as another nail. Don't assume that. You have to follow that. Look for the black dot. Let's take a look at that. Let's look. You have to look for that black dot as you're taking little bits at a time. And you get better at judging how much to take in the first nip. But in the beginning, you want to, less is more. Definitely want to take less. And when you start seeing a pink or a black dot, that tells you can't go any further. You can't clip any further. But also be advised that you may not be able to trim the same amount off a nail on the same dog. So you may be able to take a little more off of one nail than you did on the nail that you just finished trimming, and that may seem odd to you, but I want you to understand some nails are going to wear differently and they're going to be shorter than the nail you just trimmed. It's true. It's due to the way that dogs walk, run, or just how they simply distribute their weight when they're moving. They can wear certain nails down more than the other one, even on the same paw. So I don't want you to forget that. I hope that these things that I've shared with you in this video prove to help you become better and more confident when trimming your dog's nails or trimming dogs' nails in general. That's the idea of this video. I think it's a good one. You can refer back to it when you need to. And I have many other videos on my channel that go into great detail on all the things that I'm telling you right now. Remember, practice will bring improvement, and a great understanding of nail anatomy, along with the right techniques, is the recipe for successful nail trims. That's what I want you to remember. Definitely, practice makes perfect. Use the right techniques, use the right tools, and you have the recipe for successful nail trims. You just have to practice. Now let's answer some questions. I'm sure with this topic, we're going to have some questions. So I'm going to scroll right up here to the top and just start taking a look and try to start from the beginning. I see that Dan James has a question here. It says, "Hi Amy, this is off topic, but have you seen the Prima Fur Flux Spa Wash?" Yes, Dan, I have, and I have one coming to me this month. So I will be making a video on it for you guys. I'm pretty impressed with what I've learned about it so far, but I really won't understand the true capabilities until I get to play with it. So I'm excited. I have confidence that Prima Bathing Systems is going to, they wouldn't produce anything less than something that's going to give us the great results that their bathing systems have for decades. One of the nice things about that Fur Lux, Dan, is, have you seen the price? It's, if I'm correct, it's about $800 versus $1,400 for the salon model. So another thing I understand about it is it mixes the shampoo and the water on the fly. So there's less to clean up. We don't have to wash out big bins and buckets. We'll see. I don't know. This is just what I'm reading from the website. I've emailed back and forth a little bit with Paul from Prima Industries. He's very excited. And so some of the things he's telling me, I'm trying to put in perspective without actually seeing the product. So it's kind of hard to do that. But what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, it's got me very excited, Dan. And just stay tuned, because I'll be making a video and I'll be showing you everything that I can get out of that system and showing you how it would work for you. So yeah, it's got our attention, doesn't it? That's for sure. Tammy says, do you give live classes? Live classes online? No, I don't really do that. I am going to be in the very near future. If you guys follow me on my website, which is I have many websites. I have my learning center. That's where all the downloads are. But I also have a website that's gogroomer.net. So if you pull that up, go check out gogroomer.net. Right now you'll see everything that I have to offer people. but I'm working on adding coaching. Coaching for businesses to make them thrive, coaching for startup businesses, people who want to start a business, they've gotten the knowledge, now they're ready to start, and then I will do some personal coaching, but it's all online, it's not hands-on. I am possibly looking into showing up at some trade shows and seeing if I can dip my toes in that. But as far as live demonstrations go, the best you got in that is all of my 640 videos. That's as live as it gets. That's as up close and personal. But that's why I make the videos, so that I can refer you. So in other words, when somebody emails me and says, Amy, I'm really struggling with what length I use on my golden doodle, how do I know it's going to look good? I'll send them a video of me grooming a golden doodle with a 1/2-inch guard and say, well, this is a 1/2 inch. It looks great. What do you think? So, you know, having that video resource library is so good, and it took us, guys, what, 7 years? We've been doing this on YouTube for 7 years. It took us that long to build that library of awesome learning tutorial videos on dog grooming. So they're there for a reason. Don't forget to utilize them. Those are free. Now, I do have channel memberships where I teach lessons. Mainly it's more curriculum, but it's very helpful and they're loving it, my hounds. I see many of my hounds are here right now. Kathy, SVCC, Rambling Court Gesture, Janelle. I saw Debbie's here. These are my channel members if they have that little icon behind them. So they get special content with curriculum that's in PDF format. That's part of their membership. They get it with every meeting. It's a monthly meeting. So these are some of the ways that I help people, Tammy. There's many. Tammy also says, meaning, do you do individual live classes? Individual. I have in the past. I enjoy working hands-on with people very much so, especially with, you know, their own dog or a dog that they groom often. But it's really not, it's really hard to price that, you know, because I am so busy with doing all the things that I'm doing on YouTube, on my learning center, with my website, all these things. Being taken away from that for a day to teach somebody who may not even have any basic knowledge, that's not worth it. They got to have some basic. It's just going to take more than one session anyway, and you know, it's going to cost some money. So, you know, I like people to be set up for success, and I am able to teach people in a very good way. I get it. But I just haven't decided if I really want to go that route, you know, and do one-on-one type teaching, unless it's a group setting where I select maybe 5 people, and those 5 people pay, and we get together either in my salon or I rent a conference room and we groom a dog together there, and it's hands-on for everybody. That's something that I would really consider, and I could easily put that together. But not one person at a time. I just don't think it would be the best use of my time. Kelly says, how do you know if a dog has longer quick when you do the first cut? You take a small amount. Remember the picture that I showed you? I'm going to show you again. I want to see a black dot or a pink dot like you're seeing. It's circled here. That's what I want to see. That tells me I can't go any further. Until I see that, then I know I can continue to trim a little more until I see that black dot. So if you're taking small amounts at a time to get to this point, then you haven't trimmed too much because you took small amounts until you see the black dot. So that's the indication. So I know it's confusing. It's a lot to think about because it's also stressful for a lot of people. So I'm trying to tell you to arm yourself with education and practice tools and all those things and be more confident about it. Know what you're looking for before you do it. You don't want to trim a dog's nails if you don't know what you're looking for. Don't even do it. Did I miss the angle? Tammy says. The angle, I really don't angle the nail. I might, you don't have to. I usually just kind of cut it flush. I might angle it back a little so it tips up a little. But, you know, remember the quick is coming out at an angle too, so if you angle, you would angle upwards. But if you're just learning to do it, cutting the nails on an angle is going to add another element of difficulty to the whole task, if you ask me. That's what I think. SVCC Toy Schnauzer Sean. Hi, Sean. Says, Amy, your sound is off. Okay, my daughter came knocking on the door. Mom, something's wrong. She must be watching. But, so she told me I had muted my sound, but thank you. I wonder how long it would have taken me to realize. I'm so glad. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that, guys. I'll edit that out when it's on the replay. Don't worry. And Tammy also says there's no sound. See, I can count on you guys. You're giving me my red flags. I need those red flags. All right. And Jenny's here. Jenny's a channel member also. Look at all you guys. Roz is. It's great to see you all. We just had a channel member meeting yesterday. It was great. I love getting together with you guys. I had a really good learning PDF for you, so I was happy to give that to you. Sue says, would you use that trimmer on a small dog like a Shih Tzu? I use this trimmer on every dog, big, little. I have a lot of control over it. When I'm using it on a small dog, if you want to close the gap, well then you begin by holding it closed a little bit. Slide the nail in and then trim it. I just locked. These have a lock on them, if you can see it. Just for when you put it away, you can lock it. Sometimes when I'm working, that locks itself and messes me up. But so I usually hold it so the lock is hanging down instead of, will hang this way and lock it when I use it. So if you are trimming a very small nail, sometimes I'll start by closing the gap of the hole. See that? I'll start there and I'll position it. I'll get a little better grip and then I'll give it a go. But no, this one I use on all sizes. The only thing you won't be able to use this nail trimmer for, as you can see, there's no way to slide a nail in there. You have to put the nail in the hole. If you have a dog's nail that's curled all the way into the pad, then you have to have a separate trimmer. Mine's a bigger one and I don't like it. I use it only for those instances it's completely open here. So I can come up and cut a nail that's that's curled so much, it's curled around and I can't get it in here. So that's the only time I don't use this nail trimmer. I really love this one. It's just been the best. I have so much control of it and it gives me confidence to trim nails. Kelly says, what do you do if a dog keeps pulling his foot away from you? Well, that's a whole nother game. I like to have my dogs double harnessed, so I like to have them in a groomer's helper loop that has the little loop on the front, and then I like to have a hitch on my grooming arm so they absolutely can't spin circles. So that takes that off the table. Now they can't spin around, but yes, they can still pull up their feet. So if a dog is pulling his foot, I'll usually, let me see if I can make this understandable. If a dog's pulling his foot, you don't want to play tug of war. You'll have no control. Go with if he's pulling it back, then keep going back to the point where he's got it back so far, he can't bring it back anymore. That's what I do. I'll try to position them different ways. If they're jerking and pulling, then I'll let them pull that foot back, and as they're pulling it back, I'm moving back with them until they can't move it anymore. And it's just what you have to do because you can't have movement. That's what you can't have. You don't do this. You don't play tug of war. They'll do that all day if you let them. So you don't do that. If they're pulling, then you go with the pull. You keep pushing. They pull, you push. So you've pushed the foot back to where they can't pull it anymore, if that makes any sense. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll try to position them in a different way that maybe is more comfortable. I get close. I reset the dog if they're pulling and getting antsy. You know how I reset a dog. We had a live stream about that. Just get them in a standing position again, not touching them with tools at the moment, just my hands. Reset their brain. So resetting a dog, we have to do it all the time. They're sitting down protecting their feet, stand them up. Take your hands off, they sit down, stand them up. Eventually they're like, all right, fine. She's going to keep doing this, keep standing them up. So it's just patience and outsmarting, the dog by saying, I know he's going to do this all day, but I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep changing it up and confusing him. Once they trust you, then it's like a breakthrough, especially with nails. Once they trust you, then they feel like, oh my God, okay, that wasn't so terrible. That wasn't. And I'll tell you, Sean knows, Sean's in the chat, we have Grace, Ellie Grace and Grace. That is, Ellie Grace is a Schnauzer and Grace is her mother Schnauzer. So they stay with my mom all the time, but we kind of co-own the dogs. But Grace has big shyness when it comes to nail trims, and we've worked through it a lot. Sean even said, she said, we've always struggled with Grace, that she was just so afraid of it, and it's just always been a struggle with Grace. And it still is, Sean, but we've found ways. We always try something new, too. At one point, Mom said, well, I will try, treating her while you're doing it. And that kind of worked, because Grace loves her food. Sean knows that. She loves her food. That kind of worked, but when it got to the front paws, she just wasn't having it, So what we tried the last time that worked fantastic, and if you are a groomer grooming in a shop, then you would need to grab one of your other groomer friends that work with you, or a bather, or possibly sometimes the pet owner can assist you in this if you have major problems with a dog and nail trimming. Mom held Grace almost like, she's in one of those dog hammocks. So she held her like this, and her feet were dangling. Because her feet couldn't touch the table, and she didn't feel like she had that power, leverage, or control, we were able to easily trim her nails. Easily. Because she's dangling, so she wasn't really fighting. She didn't feel the leverage from having solid foot on the ground. And it helped a lot. It went very well. So from here on out, that's what we're going to do with Grace, because it worked fantastic. And she's just a little Schnauzer. It's nothing for Mom to hold her. She just kind of holds her like a baby with her legs hanging down this way. And it worked fantastic. So it's a little hard for me, because I gotta get under there, but I'd rather bend around a little bit than have to fight with a dog or upset them. If I can avoid that, I want to avoid that, So good question. Christine says, hey Amy, why have my Cocker Spaniel's Quick grown longer and thicker over the years? There's always a clicking sound on the floor when he walks. Anything more that I can do to trim them better? Once the Quick is where it's at, Christine, then it is where it's at. What causes a Quick to become longer often is dogs, as they age, they become a little less active. I mean, even my big boy, he's going to be 8 years old in April, and he's less active. But when they become less active, the activity is what helps keep the nail and wore down a little bit naturally. So our older dogs are less active. So if that's the case, what you could do, if you notice the activity level goes down just with age, which is normal, you could, plan to trim the nails instead of 6 weeks, maybe give it a go in 4 weeks, if you want to keep that nail trained to where it was at. But it is normal, and that's probably why. It's just as they get older, the activity level changes, or maybe, it's winter and he's not as active in the winter as he is in the summer. And it could be all those things. So that would be my guess, Christine. You really don't want to say, well, I'm just going to cut into the Quick and train it, because that won't work. You cut into the Quick, it's going to bleed, and it doesn't say, because you cut the Quick, doesn't say, okay, now this nail is going to always be short. It's going to grow back the exact same way. So I don't want to mislead people to think that. Kathleen says, I see a lot of people bringing legs forward and cutting from the front. It seems like dogs like this better. Is this more dangerous? I can't see it as well. Is it dangerous to tip the foot back? Well, I'll tell you a couple things. There's two reasons why I don't pull a dog's foot forward to trim the nail. One is I can't get under it to see that black dot. I'd have to tip the paw all the way up to see if I'm getting near the pink or the black dot, if I'm getting, near the quick. So if I'm pulling the dog's front forward, first of all, now I'm trimming his nails right in front of him. He gets a front row seat. Do you really think he wants that? I don't. I notice when I tip their feet back, it's not, they're facing that way, their foot is tipped this way. I can clearly see it, clearly see what I'm doing, and I'm not shoving it in their face. Hey, you want to watch me trim your nails? They're like, no, thank you. That's why I don't do it. Everybody has a preference. It's not my preference to do it that way. It's Juicy Jet says, I'm a novice groomer. I've been bathing for over a year and I'm ready to start giving haircuts. Good for you. I need an affordable trimmer. Which of the 5-in-1 do you recommend? If you're going to groom professionally, you need a detachable blade clipper. That way you can groom any dog. If you've got a thick, heavy, large doodle, you got it. It will groom faster than a 5-in-1 trimmer. If you're trying to groom a doodle with a 5-in-1 clipper, adjustable blade clipper versus a detachable blade, I can tell you right now, it will take you longer. You are going to have to go over it more often than a detachable blade to get a smooth finish. So that's why would you want to add time to your grooming sessions? Time is valuable when you need to groom 5 dogs a day. So if I could only have one clipper as a professional, it will be a detachable blade clipper, like the Wall KM10 or, even the Andis AGC. My favorite is the Wall KM10. That's why I say it all the time. It's my favorite clipper. I've had many Andis models. I've had Oster models. I've never had the Heininger, so I can't compare to that. That's why I don't talk about it. I can't tell you something that I don't have a review of. I didn't get to actually use it, But if you want to know what 5-in-1 clipper I like, there are many. I would choose either between the Kenchi Flash, the Kenchi Flash 5, or the Joy-Z Hornet. The Joy-Z Hornet might be best for you as a beginner. It has a little bit of a different style blade action than the other ones. So the Joy-Z Hornet, not the Mini, the Joy-Z Hornet. And you can get the guard comb attachments for that, specific to 5-in-1 clippers. So, but I wouldn't approach grooming as a professional with only a 5-in-1 clipper. I would never do that. Donna said, is the Dremel a whole different lesson? Yeah, because there's different methods. It's not a whole different lesson, Donna, because you still hold and separate and isolate each nail the same way as you would if you were going to trim it with a nail trimmer. That's all the same. Positioning of the dog is all the same. The Dremel is a different technique that we're using. When you Dremel a dog's nail, I don't prefer to Dremel the dog's nails. I really don't. They don't like that high-pitched sound. Dogs don't like high-pitched sounds. The dust stinks, and you breathe it in. And you kind of have to work each nail a little more, versus just nip, 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 done. So as a professional, I have done it before. I used to charge extra for it because it took me extra time. And then I just decided once my last Dremel took a poopy, I'm like, I'm not replacing it. I'm just not going to offer nail dremeling. I'm just going to trim nails. That's what I do. So there are some different techniques. When you use a Dremel, you don't want to hold it on the nail. That thing is spinning at so many RPMs and so fast, it builds friction up and it will burn. It will hurt. It hurts. It gets hot. So when you Dremel, you zzz and stop, zzz and stop, zzz, like that. That's about it. You keep doing that until you get each nail where you want it. That would be about the only difference, Donna, that I could tell you. Jenny says, just wanted you to see that every time I give somebody their dog who is happy with the bath and the trim that I might have done and they're happy, I always thank you in my heart. Oh, Jenny, are you serious? I think you had skills already. You didn't learn everything from me. Now, come on. I'm so proud of what you have done, Jenny. Jenny fosters dogs. She also daycares dogs. You know, once she has these relationships, these dogs always come back to her when the owners go on vacation or whatever. She's really built something. I'm proud of you, Jenny. I'm glad to be part of your journey. You know that. I really am. I'm privileged to be part of all your pet grooming journeys. I feel very privileged and I'm very happy about it. So there are many times where I'm grooming and I actually think of you guys. I really do. I think of what we've built together and the things you are doing in your little salons, you know? It's cool. Kathy says, does your Miller's Forge trimmer not have the guard on it, or did you remove it? It does, honey. Good question. You probably couldn't see it. Kathy asked this. So it has a lock. The lock is just to lock it into place. So when I put it down, it's locked. So we removed the lock, but on the other side, it does have this guard. I always move it out of the way because you really can't use it. Can you guys see that? So in other words, when you're trimming a nail, the guard stops it. It can only go in that far. You see that? Well, guess what? Sometimes that's too far. That's why I don't use it. Even that can be too far if the quick is really overgrown. The best thing to do is to take little bits at a time and not use that guard. If I use the guard, look how much it's going to trim. See? That could be too much. I don't want to rely on the guard. It could be too much, just that first cut. So I never use it. I swing it down here. I never use it. More pasta for the computer. But it's a good question. I'm glad that you asked it because I'm so glad you asked it. A lot of people may think because of that guard that they just shove it in there and cut. Well, the guard's going to stop it. It won't go too far. Well, it could be too far. That could be trimming too much on that particular nail, that dog. It could be too much. So I don't rely on the guard. Tammy says, I think I missed your answer to my question because I had to let the chickens in. Oh my God. No, I got you, Tammy. You'll have to go back and watch. You had about 3 questions and I think I got them all. But just go back and watch. It's okay. It's Juicy Jet says, I know it's best to have a detachable blade clipper. I just cannot afford $300 plus a battery or a bather pay at this time. On bather pay, I'm sorry. $300 and on bather pay at this time. It seems the KM10 isn't really available anymore. Yes, it is. They just remodeled it. The old version is not available because they don't make the old version anymore. They have a new version of the KM10. The corded version is purple color. It's actually pretty. It's like a plum color. But I love that KM10. You've got to have it. If you're going to groom professionally, you have to have a detachable blade clipper. So what I had to do when I began grooming was I had 2 jobs. That's what I had to do. I delivered mail for the post office on the weekends and every now and then when the mail carrier was off. That's what I did while I was grooming. And it's not easy. But if you can't have the right tools, you shouldn't do it. You absolutely shouldn't do it. So find a way. There's always a will and there's a way. Now, if you ask me right now if I have $300 in my pocket, I'd tell you no, I don't. But if I had to sit and think about, hey, I need that clipper, what am I going to do to save $300? I'm going to find a way to do it. I'm going to cut something out or I'm going to do something more so I can get that $300. You have to. And besides, the KM10 corded version is $245. And if you're buying a Joyzy Hornet, which does have 4 guard combs with it, that's all it has is 4 guard combs. You're still spending, what is it, $167, I think is what it's priced at right now. You're not saving a bundle or anything, but you're getting so much more with the KM10. It's crazy. You have to have the right tools. We all had to buy all those tools and start out with nothing. That's what we had to do. You have to have the right tools. So I'm sorry to tell you that, but I want to set you up for success. I do. I don't want you to spend $170 and say, I still need to spend $245 on the wall KM10. I can see now that I need it. So just get what you want out of the gate. Kathy says, Amy, do you still have a discount on Groomer's Choice? Yeah, that would help Juicy Jet. Thank you, Kathy, for bringing that up. I didn't know if Juicy Jet, I assume everybody knows that I can give you 10% off of Groomer's Choice. That's where they have everything you would ever want for pet grooming. It's my go-to place for what I buy any of my pet grooming supplies, all of them. There's a link in the description, Groomer's Choice, and there's a code there, GoGroomer24. If you go to their website from the link and purchase anything, anytime, there's no number of amounts of purchases that you can use my code. You just use my code. Thank you, Kathy. See why I need you guys? You're like my army. You're like, you're on it. You're like, don't forget, Amy, duh. You got this deal going with Groomer's Choice. I can save you 10%. That's right. And if you spend over $99, I believe it's $99, it's free shipping. So that's a heck of a deal. So go to Groomer's Choice. I shop with them anyway. Their prices are always great. A lot of distributors have comparable pricing, especially when it comes to clippers, blades, brushes, certain things like that. But some other things I feel Groomer's Choice has better prices on than what other people can offer, other distributors. So that's part of the reason why I teamed up with them, for you guys, because they are my go-to, absolutely. It's Juicy Jet said, I heard that a lot of people say the KM Plus runs hot and it's heavier. I'm nervous to invest in it when people don't seem to like it. Well, blades will get hot, if that's what you mean. All clippers, every clipper, except a 5-in-1 clipper. No, they won't get hot. They're made of plastic. They can't get hot. Your metal blades are always going to heat up. The Joy Z blades are my favorite blades. They don't seem to get as hot as fast. There were a few problems I've heard other people saying with the Wall KM Plus, KMC Plus, which is a cordless clipper. That is $300. The problem they were having was with the switch and the battery. Like when it was charged, it said it was fully charged and they would go turn on, it wouldn't come on. And they'd have to click it on and off like 5 or 6 times so it came on. Now I'm sure Wall's been working on this or corrected it already. I'm not sure because I don't have one. But what I will tell you is don't worry about the cordless version. Why can't you have a corded clipper? I used a corded clipper for almost 20 years until I started using cordless clippers. And then I bought my first cordless detachable blade clipper, which was the Wall KM10. Cordless, and of course it's a little heavier because it has a heavy-duty battery in it, and that's what I noticed right away. I'm like, oh, I really like the way my corded Wall KM10 felt so much better because it was lighter, because it didn't have a massive battery in it, so it could be cordless. So cordless isn't always better when it comes to detachable blade clippers. Don't be afraid to buy those corded clippers. I used them forever. It never bothered me. And I'm sure a lot of my groomers in here will agree too. And you get used to where to position your cord to keep it out of the way at all times. It's just what you do. Well, guys, I have to skirt out of here. I want to thank you all for joining me. I'm so glad to have you again on a Monday. I'm getting ready to go to a grooming show. I will only be there for one full day, which is this Sunday. And it's the Groomed show in Atlanta, Georgia. I can't wait to go. So if you're going to be anywhere near there, please come and see me. I can't tell you exactly where I'll be because I know PetSked's not going to be there, so I won't be working their booth. And I don't think Groomer's Choice is going to be there either at Groomed. So I'll probably just be kind of walking around looking for you guys and doing a little shopping, tool touching. I like to go to the shows so I can learn about new things, like we were just talking about the difference in the clipper weight. I like to feel it at the show. I like to pick it up and feel it and say, you know, I could tell this would take me a lot of getting used to. Maybe I'm not going to purchase this one. But I just love going to the shows to learn new things about tools. put scissors in my hands, see what feels good to me, all the things. So if you are going to be anywhere near Atlanta, Georgia this Sunday, please come and see me. I will be at the Groomed show, which is at the Atlanta Convention Center. You can look it up online, guys. Groomed, Groom''D, Groomed trade show, dog grooming trade show. So I would love to see you. I'm sure I'll see some people, some of you there. I usually do. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is that we will be live again in 2 weeks on a Monday. So I'll be back with a great new topic for you. Please apply these methods that you learned today in this live stream to your nail trimming training and, you know, your nail trimming methods. Sometimes a fresh idea helps if you didn't even know you were struggling with something until you think about it. So the last thing I'm going to do is leave you with the Farmer's Dog Super Bowl commercial that touched hearts all over the world. Warmed hearts, dog lovers. If you're interested in food for your dog that is species appropriate, tailored to a dog's specific nutritional needs, also FDA approved, human grade quality ingredients, I would love to give you 80% off your first box of the Farmer's Dog fresh food delivered straight to your door. Click the link in the description. There's a lot of links in the description. Go check it out. There's a link in the description for the Farmer's Dog for you to save 80% off your first box and see the benefits firsthand with your beloved pets. So with that said, long live. Thank you guys for coming. I love you. Dogs.
I'll always take care of you.